Difficult. Women. Yo, what's up?
What's up, girl? What is up?
Remember when people used to go, what's up? What was that about?
What's up?
It's like a frog or something.
Let's bring it back when the pandemic's over.
Let's just bring it back now.
Okay. What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Difficult Women Podcast. My name is Marie.
I'm Katie. And we are also a part of the band Reformed Whores. You should check us out on the YouTubes or Spotify.
Oh my gosh. Did you see that lovely message that we received on Facebook?
No.
To Reformed Whores?
I did not see that.
Wait, let me find it for you. It was just so nice to wake up to.
Oh. I have not checked my Facebook today.
I've stopped just checking Facebook because I do think it is the devil.
A little bit, yeah. Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a tad. I love whore. You love dick baby?
I love dick baby. Don't you love dick baby?
I don't think you're allowed to say I love dick baby.
How did they know? I mean, you're not allowed to say baby dick, but you can say dick baby.
Yes. Okay. Good point.
Because a dick baby is every baby. It's a baby that comes out of a dick.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Dick babies.
Love dick
Get
babies.
those dick babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I woke up to that. It was like bing, and I was like, oh, a nice little fan message. Oh, wow. That's so great. I love when, I mean, we do get quite a lot. It's kind of thinned out, I guess, but a lot of those, we are reformed, okay? All right. Bye-bye.
Get over it.
Get over it. Anyway, yes. So lots of big changes for moi this week.
Oh my gosh, I know. Holy macaroni. Tell us, Marie, what's going on in your life over there?
I have moved from hell.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. Where I was in the suburbs. Remember, folks, if you'd listened earlier to prior episodes, I was out there. Felt like the country. I know it was just 15 minutes outside of Nashville, but felt like I was away from all society. And I had chickens and they all died. They were all eaten. It was very traumatic. I cried a lot because who knew I care about animals. But yeah, so I was in my friend's basement for 4 months renting out there. And now this weekend I moved to lovely East Nashville. And let me just tell you, Katie, I cannot wait for you to come visit.
I want to come.
There's sidewalks.
That's crazy. We should talk to our sidewalk friend in Nashville who's trying to get more sidewalks. So I'm sure she'd be happy to know more about your sidewalks.
Oh, well, they're fruitful in this area. And it's been so beautiful watching families walk by with their coffee cups. And, there's little bakeries and there's my favorite pizza place around the corner.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
So you have a coffee shop within walking distance of your house? That's
there's
what you
like
wanted, right?
3 of them. I can choose.
What? That's crazy.
I can choose. I know. It's really, I'm so excited. And I have no furniture. I'm sitting on the floor right now.
Great.
If the quality of this sound, guys, isn't as it usually is, it's just because I cannot hook my microphone that I usually use to up because I don't have a table to mount it on. So anyway, I'm just sitting on the floor.
It's great.
And but you know what? Nothing stops the pod.
Yeah.
We are here for
you make it happen. Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing that almost stopped the pod was my French toast this morning.
Katie, you almost always stop the pod.
Good Lord, French toast. I hate it. I don't think I like it. I'm not into it. First of all, I never made it before. So I was like, this will take 1 second. And it should have probably, but also I was like, how do you know when it's cooked? It's like, I didn't know. Anyway, French toast. Not into it. I'm not feeling it. Really, we're gonna get a lot of hate mail on that one. But
so much, yeah. Oh no, my contact just went up in my eyeball. Hold on.
At least you have contacts. I haven't had contacts in like 3 months because I ran out and then I haven't been able to go to an eye doctor.
Oh, you need to get a new prescription. This is another, we're going to get into scams and all that stuff in a minute, but that's actually one of the biggest scams ever is that you have to get your eyes checked once a year. I mean, I guess it's probably good
you probably should get them checked a little bit.
No, it's a scam. They're trying to steal
to go to the
money.
dentist.
It is.
Well, I'll tell you what is kind of a scam. Eye glasses and contacts, because a friend of mine just got her, she got her LASIX done the other day. And I started reading about it. And it seems like the rates of eye death are like 0. So everyone should be getting LASIX. I think that's my next move, is to try to figure out a way to get LASIX. I had an eye doctor once when I was about 15, when and I said, well, what about LASIX? And he was like, oh, well, it's probably fine, but I heard that if you about a guy that got LASIX and his eye fell out.
Oh.
That's not true. My eye doctor told me that. That is not true. He just was like in a panic because those eye doctors, they go out of business if your eyes are perfect.
Yeah, right. I just want to wake up and see the world.
I can't even imagine.
I know. I cannot
I would just cry every day for the rest of my life if I could wake up and just see things.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, if I wake up and see things, I'm like, God damn it, I left my contacts in last night. It's not the right feeling.
Oh my gosh. Look at us. This is great.
We're
doing this.
We're doing it. Becoming grown-ups, getting eyes surgery.
Yep.
Whatever.
Well, you've lived alone before.
Oh,
This is why this is so exciting for
Yeah, because
moi.
you've never really lived alone before. You've had moments of aloneness.
I've had moments. I've had roommates who've been out of town doing theater shows or on tour and stuff, but this is my first very own apartment, and I was already walking around naked last night all by myself. And, because of the sidewalks, people walk by and they can see your titties. And so I
gotta get some curtains.
Yep. I'm on it. it. I have a list of like 35 things I need, and I'll get through it. It's going to be great.
You're going to get a couch?
Yeah, I think so. Something to sit on.
Something to sit on. Chair. Pillow. Something.
A chair. I don't know. Yeah. But I got my record player. That's all that really matters, right?
Yeah. Got a bed and a record player. Done.
Yeah. Done. So.
Amazing. Well, should we jump into it? Because I have some things to say.
Oh, I love
think
this.
You're going to have things to say, too, about this.
I hope so. It's a podcast.
You will. You will. Because I became infuriated while doing a little research on this.
Y'all, we are talking GameStop.
Stock. Not just like gaming.
GameStop. Yeah.
We're talking gaming. We don't know anything.
We're talking Mario Luigi.
I think I know less about gaming than I do investments, which is like nothing. So let's stick with investments right now because I don't know anything about it.
I really don't know much about the stock market. I've never invested any money. And I actually just started asking questions to my parents, like financial planner person, to be like, what is the stock market? And literally this woman who I speak to is younger than I am, and she was like, what do you want to know? And I was like, just give it to me straight, and I told her, I was like, just speak like you're speaking to a child and explain this to me, because I've never done it before. I
hear you.
Stocks and bonds and
not only just that, but I have to admit, and we should definitely do an episode about this, just finances. Even aside from the stock market, we are so financially illiterate as like a country, I think, just generally, because they don't teach us this in school. They don't teach you how to invest your money. They don't teach you. I know about like diversifying your portfolio, and up until like, I don't know, a couple months ago, I didn't really know what that meant. I was just like, put some money under your bed and then put some in the closet and then, put some under your, in your bra so that it's all different places. That's all I could think of for diversity. I mean, I don't know. So this has been an interesting dive for me too. And stocks and things are things that I was also interested in kind of getting to know more about. I know my mom has some stocks, but even when I asked her about it, she was like, I have a broker. She's like, I don't know. Right. She's like, I do like low risk investment stuff. I think she does, where it's like money grows slower, but you have a less of a chance of like it totally bottoming out. And even she was like, I'm not really 100% sure what's going on over there. She's like, I kind of let them do it. But I told her, I was like, that frustrates me because first of all, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust the system. I don't trust I keep thinking like everything's going to go to hell and then you'd lose everything. So I want to kind of know more about what's going on, but it seems, on the one hand, it seems a little complicated, right? So it kind of makes you go, oh, I don't really know. But on the other hand, there's a part of me that's like, they want you to think it's complicated so that you stay out of it. And that makes me mad and makes me
Yes.
want to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't forget, I used to work for like a headhunting firm that worked to recruit hedge funders and private equity folks, and I was the receptionist, and I would greet these motherfuckers, and I heard how much these people were making. These young analysts right out of school were making like $350,000 a year plus a bonus on top of that. So right out of school, some people were making like $500,000 to $1 million. Just children.
Yeah. Well, this is that. So that's fascinating. Everybody remember that. And by the way, if anybody, if we say something that's not correct, as with any episode we do, please let us know. If there's any more information that we're missing, I would love to hear from people being like, actually, it works like this, or this is another part you missed, because I'm still new at this stuff, and I know Marie's still new at this stuff. But what we're talking about specifically, what got us interested is this whole scenario that happened with the GameStop stock, which you may or may not have heard about. But I guess the deal was a bunch of people on Reddit who were sort of doing they keep calling them like regular investors. So we will refer to them as regular investors. A lot of them were investing on this app called Robinhood, which is sort of an app that made investments accessible to regular people. It's kind of like annoying.
Also, the hedge funders call regular people's money dumb money.
Yeah,
by
fuck
the way.
those people.
Yeah, fuck
Like,
them.
fuck
Fuck them. Fuck them. Okay,
so
fun.
frustrating. But so this group of Redditors, they were getting irritated because there's this thing called short selling. Sorry, take that back. There's a thing that investors do, some investors do, or some kinds of investors, what they do is they short sell stocks. And from what I understand, when you short sell a stock, you go to a broker and you borrow stock that they own. I don't know about, it's so weird with stock because it doesn't exist. You know, it's like in the ether. But so they borrow shares of stock from the broker and they pay interest on it. That's why the broker is willing to lend it. Then they sell the stock, even though they're borrowing it, which sounds crazy to me. It's like, you're going to borrow my microphone and then sell it? I'd be so fucking pissed. But anyway, so you borrow the stock, you sell it at the highest price you possibly can. And then you try to rebuy the stock because you still owe it to the broker. So you're trying to rebuy the stock at the lower price. And when you give it back to the broker, in theory, you've made money because you sell it at a high price. I mean, yeah, you sold it at a high price and then you bought it back at a lower price. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes my brain hurt.
And the idea is the only way that this works is when you bet on a stock that is falling.
Right.
So it doesn't work for like Apple or something where the stock prices keep going up because you're going to buy it at a price and then it's just going to keep going up and you're going to definitely lose money. So these people, they're like gambling a little bit and they're saying like, I'm going to pick a stock like GameStop, right? Where they've been seeing the stock prices fall and they go, okay, we're going to invest in this stock because we know it's falling so we can make as much money off it as possible.
So Colbert broke it down into Beanie Babies. I thought this was an interesting way of explaining it. Because I find it very confusing personally. So say you have Beanie Babies and like, you know, Beanie Babies, like I think the worth of Beanie Babies right now probably is at a low point, maybe, you know? So like if you have all these Beanie Babies and you're like, oh, these Beanie Babies aren't worth anything right now. So then you lend your Beanie Baby to a friend, right? And then the friend sells the Beanie Baby.
Okay.
Then if the Beanie Baby worth goes up, this is where I get confused.
So it's sort of like, yeah, so that could happen, right? So like, let's say you have a Beanie Baby and it's worth right now $10. And you're like, oh, I bought the, you know, this used to be worth more, but it's worth $10. And it feels like Beanie Babies, are we really going to need Beanie Babies in 5 days? No,
probably not.
Probably it'll be worth $8 tomorrow and it might be worth $6 the next day. So I'm holding on to this Beanie Baby and I have a friend that's like, give me that Beanie Baby. I'm going to borrow it for a minute, but I'll give you back a Beanie Baby, the exact same Beanie Baby. So you will not lose anything. You will still have your Beanie Baby eventually. So the guy takes the Beanie Baby He finds a guy. He borrows
Right.
the Beanie Baby. He finds a guy somewhere that's like, oh no, like, or not even finds a guy. He says like, okay, this Beanie Baby. All of a sudden, a Beanie Baby like parade happens, and everyone's like back into Beanie Babies. So he like sells it real quick for $25, and then he still owes you the Beanie Baby.
Right.
You're still waiting to get your Beanie Baby back.
Right.
And so he then is hoping that the parade will like, everyone will kind of get over the parade, and then Beanie Babies go back down. And in fact, they're going to just keep dropping. So then finally Beanie Babies, everyone's so bored of Beanie Babies that the price goes down to $5. And they're like, I'm going to buy that pig Beanie Baby back and give it back to you. And I didn't lose anything. And in fact, I wanted some, what is it called?
Some interest
on it. So then you had to give me a Beanie Baby and a half or whatever. And so I made out pretty good on my end. Still got my Beanie Baby, but now I have two Beanie Babies. I don't know.
Right,
And whereas he made like $20 because he sold it at a high point and bought it. Yeah, sold it at a high point and then bought it back at a low point. Here's the thing about what happened with GameStop. The Reddit people were pissed that because GameStop has been not doing very well for a while, partly because of their brick and mortar situation. A lot of these like stores and mall stores are not doing well right now because no one's going to a mall. You know?
A year ago, 2 hedge funds realized this, and then they started doing the short squeeze on GameStop. So this happened a year ago, and this was like a setup a year ago that they were like, GameStop isn't worth anything.
And I think they've even been trying to get GameStop to move on over to like more selling internet style instead of like just being an internet store versus being like a brick and mortar store. So they've got people in the background trying to manipulate GameStop into being something different, which is like fine with GameStop. I mean, they're just trying to save their company, and they're like, okay, fine.
A week ago, I never thought we'd be doing a podcast about GameStop.
Or anyway, stocks.
Or stocks and bonds and like all this shit. Yeah.
So anyway,
continue.
the Reddit people were annoyed because the stock has been falling. People are devaluing it. GameStop is like suffering as a result. And these Reddit people probably play a lot of video games. So they were like annoyed that these people were kind of preying on this one company. And in addition to that, they're annoyed at these short sellers because the thing about short selling is that it's not just that on the one hand, buying something at a low price or devaluing someone's stock doesn't necessarily affect the business in the same way that buying stock at like a high price or whatever, or like raising the value of the stock doesn't necessarily affect the business in theory. But what actually happens with short sellers is that not only does it, when you're sort of like devaluing this stock over and over again, it lowers the morale of the employees because a lot of them have stock, stake in the stock.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's all these things that like then fall into place along those terms. And then in addition to that, a lot of short sellers will start spreading rumors. Like they'll find something kind of wrong with the business, and then they really push that as a idea to keep getting the stock to be devalued. They want to get people to sell it so that they can devalue the stock as much as possible, which is sometimes a little bit artificial, so that they can sell it at a low rate. So they're doing all this stuff, not really caring how that affects the business in the long run. So on the one hand, if you take it in a bubble, selling and buying stock doesn't affect the company in theory, but in actuality it does, if that makes sense. Just not directly, especially if you're spreading rumors and trying to fuck over a company. So that's why people get mad at short sellers, and some of them are more
it's totally
evil
legal
than others. It's totally legal. It's not illegal. It is legal to do.
It just sounds really mean.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds immoral. It sounds like taking, American
it sounds
companies.
Selfish, right?
It sounds selfish.
Because it's like you're trying to take something down for your own personal gain.
Right.
Right? So remember that too for later in the pod. So people were pissed about it. The Redditors said, you know what? We're going to beat them at their own game. And this is what I love about what happened with the Redditors. They came to, nobody can afford to just one person buy all the stock for GameStop. So they had to work in coordination as a community to say, everybody on this day buy shares of GameStop. So when everybody starts buying shares, that ups the value of the shares. The more people buy, the more value the more it's worth. And what happens then is when the value goes up, these short sellers are they're waiting for it to go down. If it goes up and it goes above the price that they borrowed it for or sold it for, right?
Right.
They start to lose money. So it was shooting up. The value is shooting up. It went up 1,500%, which is insanity.
God damn it. If I had gotten in stocks, I would have totally put some money in GameStop because I love gamers.
Yeah. Well, oh God, there's so many things. This is going to make you so mad. Okay.
I'm ready. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm ready.
Brace yourself. So anyway, so all these people started hemorrhaging money. They had to sell their stock because they had to pay it back to their
the
broker.
lender.
You know, they still owe them that. So they were trying to sell it as soon as they could, but they were just hemorrhaging money, these short sellers. So it was like a big win for the little guy because a lot of the little guys made money on it because they had bought low and then got to sell high. And the short sellers were kind of getting fucked over. Mm-hmm. Good. If that was the end of the story, and it was all happening on an app called Robinhood. So it just seemed perfect. It was like, we're going to steal from the rich and give to the poor. It was like perfect.
Beautiful.
Here's where things get infuriating. Mm-hmm. Immediately, there's this system is getting quote unquote manipulated, as it has been manipulated by these rich guys forever. Yeah.
Right.
And now all these big wigs that have lost money, they want to regulate the little guy. Now, think about that for 1 second. For time immemorial, the stock market people have wanted no regulations on them. They wanted, they said, no, you have to have a free market. No, you have to have it be totally deregulated. No, you have to. It's bad for the economy. And now, when the little guy has finally found a little bit of a way to get some control and make a little money and try to make this more of an equal playing field, now they want regulations.
Of course they do.
Right? So Robinhood, which was proclaimed to be an app for the little guy, started regulating, probably illegally, just started shutting down people's accounts basically and saying like, well, you can't sell right now or you can only sell it this much. So this one guy had a story that this made me so angry. He bought his shares just like just normal. And all these people are also, by the way, all the Reddit people are just buying the stocks like you normally do, right? You buy and sell. You're not short selling, you're not whatever, but they are working as a community to like up the value, which is kind of, anyway. So.
Which has happened throughout history.
Oh, I mean.
By the way.
Yeah, no, it's not like they're just playing the rules of the game.
Right. That's
These
how
are
they
the
do
rules.
it.
We're playing the rules of the game.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They haven't done anything like wrong in that sense. So this one guy, he bought his shares of the GameStop stock on Robinhood, and he saw the prices go flying up. So the next day he's like, I'm going to buy more stock. And he went in and Robinhood had basically flagged his account and said like, you can't buy at this and you have to sell at like $140 a stock when it was worth more than $140 a share, when it was worth more than that. And it forced him to sell it at this rate that it wasn't worth. So he's like, he lost like $2,000. And he was like, it's like if I was walking down the street and someone just took $2,000 out of my pocket. Like how can you say that that's all right? So this is where it's just like, you can't. And then these are the same fucking people, you will have conversations with these people and you'll say like, well, how come you guys get to be billionaires and have all this money, but like I'm, working for less than minimum wage or like for $10 an hour. And they say, well, if you just learn the stock market, like you can do it too. It's like, okay, fine. So I did. So we did. And then you say, oh, no, you're not. They change the rules. And it's like, we know this happens. We know this is the thing. But when it happens and it's so blatantly obvious, this is like where people are going to like fucking lose their minds. I mean, you want... And I know I hate to talk about revolution right now because we're in the middle of like one sort of from the wrong side. But like this is the kind of shit that makes people like lose their minds.
Right. Well, this is what we talk about on my other podcast that I edit, Fraudsters, which we've had Sina Ghaznavi on a couple weeks ago. But the thing is that this white collar crime, these people are stealing billions and billions and billions of dollars and not going to jail for it. There are people that have a dime bag of marijuana get locked up.
Right.
There are people that have couldn't pay for their house and it's foreclosed. And the whole housing situation as well is so fucked up for the little man. The whole system. And I think that this particular instance, it just really is microscopic of like how fucked the system is for the average person. Because if you get to a certain bracket in your wealth, even just like what's happening, in New York, like AOC is posting so much about those the union workers. Yeah. They're just trying to get $1 raise.
$1 raise. That's all they want.
While the white collar, the rich people at the top are just continuing to make more and more money, but they are just making it off the backs of other people.
Right. So
it's really sad. It's really
infuriating. I mean, and it is sad. It's sad because it's like, it really is greed at its worst.
And it's right out in the open. And
there's not a lot we can do. I mean, that's the hard part. And that's why people hate the Democrats.
Right.
You know, this is not a Republican Democrat, issue. This is a United States issue. We have every single goddamn president we've had since the 80s has been working on this divide between the classes. So all of this is like, a lot of the anger from this is stemming from the 2008 market crash. And I had to kind of I knew it had something to do with housing, and again, I'm going to fuck all this up, but there was a housing bubble that burst. And the bottom line, and I remember going on a date with this guy who was like one of these housing guys. And I was like, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm like a housing mortgage something. And I was like, oh, you're the one.
Oh, you're a bad guy.
It was like in 2008, we were on the date. I was like, you're the one that fucked everybody over. And he got so uncomfortable. And I was like, and I was just this artist kid. I was this poor, whatever. Who did I care? And he was so uncomfortable. He couldn't believe I was calling him out. And I'm like, what? Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I be like, you're ruining people, you ruin people's lives. And so like, as a reminder of what kind of happened, and again, I can't remember all the details, but the bottom line was that people were like giving mortgages to people that couldn't afford their mortgages, but they were, moving money around in all these sneaky ways as so that people that should not have been getting mortgages on their houses because they could not afford them, they were getting money out of these people. So people were like, oh, I own my home. And then the market crashed and then everybody lost everything. The rich people lost a lot, but then the government bailed the stock market out, bailed Wall Street out.
Right.
And they didn't bail out the individuals who lost their homes. And here's the thing. It's like, on the one hand, because I was like, then of course I'm like Googling, do we need the stock market? Do we even need this? Like, what is this about? And from what I understand, for having like a healthy economy, like internationally, you do want to have a stock market where your businesses have a place where they can get lending and grow capital. And so it's not that we want to get rid of the stock market, but if, for example, the government is going to bail out the Wall Street when it's crashing, then they should also bail out the individuals. Like they're prioritizing the businesses over their citizens, So that's already an issue.
Well, is it because the lawmakers who are in charge of who gets bailed out, they make money off of it?
I'm sure that's part of it. The other thing is that the people that like pay for their, their campaigns and stuff, Yeah. And also there is truth to like, if the stock market totally fails, that's not going to be good for the United States. It's not like a good place for us to be. I think that's something that I don't fully understand, but I think it would be very ignorant of me to say, let's just get rid of the stock market, because I don't know enough about that. And I think that anybody saying like, fuck the stock market, I think that we're being myopic about that. I think what we should do is regulate. Because like you're saying, a lot of the like reasons why that bubble happened and why the market crashed and why people lost their livelihoods was because people were playing risky games with other people's money because there wasn't enough regulation, So like the short selling, for example, maybe that's, and I think now that I was just reading an article, they said this might be the end of short selling forever, because if they start to, if GameStop people come together for the next thing and they have to regulate that, they're going to have to regulate other things. Yeah. So it's possible that might, so this might actually be, that may have worked in a way to all of our advantages.
Well, apparently, I guess the Biden administration is looking into it, what had happened this week as market manipulation.
But the question is, are they looking into it? Because they're also calling market manipulation by the Redditors.
Right. I know. That's what.
So that's the thing. This is what I'm saying is it's like, you can't, how do you win this game then?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
Can I say one more thing that I looked up because I was also curious about this? There's a guy, Robert Reich, who I'm a big fan of.
You've turned me on to him.
Yes. So Robert Reich had worked with the White House on a couple areas, and I can't remember, maybe the Secretary of Labor. I'm trying to remember exactly what he did, but he worked in some administrations and some administrations as like a political advisor and an economic advisor. So he knows a lot about economics. Side note, I used to have a really big crush on his son.
Had you know him?
Yeah. So his son had gone to the school that I went to high school at, but I didn't know him in high school, but a friend knew him. And so we went over to his house and hung out, and I like fell in love with his son.
Oh
like
my
hard.
God. What does his son do now?
I think he's married to a stripper or something. I don't really remember.
Good for him.
I can't remember that. No, I'm going to spread rumors. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of another
She's
son.
A dancer.
He's a dancer.
She's a dancer.
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't think maybe he's not. Maybe I'm thinking somebody else that's married to a stripper. But anyway, it was delightful. If he wants to marry me, I'm still available.
Oh, shout out.
And his other son is married and is doing very well too. And they're both wonderful people.
Idea. Wait, so did you meet Robert Reich?
I did, and I didn't know who he was. And my parents came to pick me up at this kid's house that I had a crush on in like high school. And I don't remember if it was my dad or my mom, but they answered the door, and Robert Reich answered the door. And then I left, and we got in the car, and whoever parent picked me up was like, that was Robert Reich. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But his son is dreamy.
Oh my God, Katie, I had no idea.
Because he was a DC guy,
Anyway, have a crush
I've always
on
been
Robert
a big
Reich.
fan of that family for many reasons.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, follow him on social media, you guys. He's constantly, sharing.
He's
really
amazing.
Information.
And I'm sure that his son is not married to a stripper, and he's doing wonderfully. Not there's anything wrong with being married to a stripper. I think that was actually another guy that I had a crush
Somebody
on.
you went to school with.
No, it's like another young guy. Anyway, I bet he's doing great. But the point is, that family's genius. They're all wonderful, very, very, very good people. And Robert Reich is very smart about the economy, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's very socially conscious, which is great. So he is a great follow. And I watched a video of him explaining, because he always says the economy is not the stock market. And I was like, well, what does that mean exactly? And he said in the video, you can look it up on YouTube, and it's just called The Economy is Not the Stock Market. He explains that the economy used to be very connected to the stock market because the stock market did well when it was like more based, these companies were more based on like labor wages and like people doing well. So if the company was doing well, they'd pay their employees more. So the economy, the economy was doing well because people were getting paid more, and the stocks were going up because the company was doing well, and they were able to pay more to their employees, right? So there's like this cycle of it going up. Does that make sense? So it's like connected.
A beautiful unity.
Beautiful unity.
Sort of.
Then in the 80s, a lot of shit fucked shit up in the 80s. Thanks a lot, Ronald Reagan, trickle down economics.
Yeah.
The companies started to realize there's another way we can make money. It doesn't just have to be from productivity. Like it used to be productivity and then higher wages came hand in hand. And what they realized is we're going to force productivity from our companies, and we're going to lower wages. And that's how we can make the most money. So we start kind of slave driving people and then paying them as little as possible. So from like the 88 or 89, that disparity just got wider and wider and wider. And it's been growing. So that's why we're like, if you stop now and you go, wait a minute, how come I'm working 40 hours a week and I'm not able to pay my rent? It's because companies have actually actively been paying their employees less and less and less and less. And where are they getting the money from then? It's like they're buying back their stocks to inflate the value of their stocks.
Right.
And then they're just making money in their own little bubble. And so rich people get richer and poor people get poorer. So that's what he means when he's saying the economy does not anymore. It does not reflect the stock market. The economy is people's being able to feed themselves, job wages, you know, people being able to make a living, people being able to buy things, buy their homes, buy products, buy whatever. That's the economy. And the economy is doing terribly. And it's been doing terribly for a long time. The stock market's doing great.
Well, don't you think we're about to go into like Great Depression era type shit?
I mean, we're kind of already there. That's the thing about it is it's like people are not able to feed their children.
I know.
So we're there, you know? And is it going to get worse? It very well could be. But I mean, I don't know, especially right now in the pandemic, people have lost their jobs. Here's another thing. So the government didn't think twice. Even I was watching a thing with Warren Buffett. And he was like, yeah, they handled the bailout in 2008. The government handled it so well because they didn't wait around to find the answers. They just gave us the money, right? Here we are during the pandemic where they're holding up this aid like crazy because they're trying to like make sure everything is in line, dotting their T. It's like, no, we're in an emergency. If you're able to throw money at Wall Street so easily, why not us?
Right.
I talked to a friend in London the other day. If y'all want to get mad about this, I was very worried about him because he owns a business and it has to be closed right now. And I was like, are you okay? Like, how are you surviving? Like, what is going on? He's like, oh, I'm fine. I was like, how are you fine? He's like, oh, because in England, they take a look and they see like how if you need it, like if you've lost your job, they say, how much did you make the last 2 years? So look, let's say you made $60,000 in the last 2 years. The government pays you 80% of what you made that last year. So you can survive and you can continue to contribute to the economy. And I mean, it's not even like England's doing so great either, but I mean, their citizens are not starving to death. Meanwhile, in my neighborhood, I'm walking home in the afternoon from work and I get accosted by like 4 people who are like desperate for money. They're, you know, falling into crazy drug addiction because there's nothing for them. So, I mean, what is happening here? And honestly, like, please do not take this the wrong way. But I was talking to some friends about like the Capitol riots, and racism is definitely a part of it, right? And this like white supremacy. And a lot of people have like in my community have really focused on that part of it. But I talked to someone who's not really in that community and they were like, a lot of people are participating in this shit because they're so fed up with the government. And it's not even just the race stuff. For some people, it is just like, I can never win.
Right.
So I'm going to burn down the house.
Right. And it affects like, your family. So if you fuck with your family, you're going to go after the person who's fucking with your family.
And if it fucks with your stomach, you can't eat.
Right.
What does like a starving dog do in the street? It will fucking attack the shit out of anybody that comes near it because it's starving to death. And I'm not, please do not for 1 second think that I'm apologizing for these people that have done what they did. That is not the way to get what we need to get. But it's one of the reasons why it's happening. If y'all are wondering, I don't think it's okay, but that's why people are acting like this. Some of them.
Well, this year I tried to apply for a loan to buy a house. I told you my whole story. And this is, I mean, I'm very non-traditional. I've been an actor, you know, musical comedian this whole time. I work at crazy amounts of hours. I mean, in New York City, I had last year when I filed my taxes, I think it was like 7 W-2s and 3 1099s, like just total freelance, like just make it work until, you know, and just, I mean, lest we forget, I worked on fucking Governor's Island and had to take a boat as a bartender, you know, but I'm not complaining. This is my life that I've chosen and it's non-traditional. And because of that choice, I was declined. I cannot get a loan to buy a house because when they look at my finances, they see that it's like, well, you're not bought into society, kind of. You don't have like, you know, a W-2. You don't have consistent income. You know, and I mean, I come from a really good family. Like, I mean, there's lots of things that like you would think that, you know, I am a white woman. Not that races should be a part of that whatsoever.
But it probably
unfortunately,
is, you know.
yes,
but
I do think I'm sure it is. But it's just like, for me, it was really. I cried. It broke my heart because I kind of had I was looking forward to kind of moving into a new chapter of my life and like trying to invest some money into a house and like, you know, but just to be completely declined from that, even when I have friends all around me here in Nashville who own homes, who I know, and no offense to my friends, I love them, but know that they have never worked as hard as I have to make it work. And also, I mean, I feel like as an artist, this is the most important thing, but I think as an artist, constantly giving back, I mean, I do think that this is like, we have got to protect the arts, especially going forward. You know, it's terrifying what's happening to theaters, to comedy venues, just whatever. But this is where, like, I don't know where the arts is going to fit in when there's a huge bailout coming. You know, they're always more concerned about the Wall Streeters, but are they going to save our favorite theater, Theater 99 in Charleston, South Carolina?
They absolutely won't. I mean, I worry about that too. I think that, like, if they're not going to, here's the thing, if they're not willing to give money to essential workers like people that pick up the garbage, or people that or I'm just trying to think of like people that work at the grocery stores, people that work at like the Walmarts and like these big companies that are the people that work at Amazon. They are essential workers right now. If the government doesn't give a fuck about those people, honestly, if they gave money to the theaters before the people at Amazon, I would fucking shit a brick. Right. Because we don't deserve that money more than the people that are absolutely being like
risking their lives.
And like we are so close to indentured servitude at this point. I know. Where people are just like barely, not even really scraping by. And that we just are kind of like, it's fine. It's fine. It's like, I don't understand.
And there's still so many lawmakers in Washington fighting against raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Because, again, think of that chart where it's like after the 80s, the way the companies decided they were going to make money was the only way the businesses can grow. And think of like at a certain point, you're stretched so thin. It's like, how much more can they lower the wages and push the productivity? How much more can we go? Right. And we've hit a breaking point. I mean, we really cannot, you cannot pay people even less than you already are and expect them to work more. And so these companies are like, well, what do we do? Because that was how we were making money. How do we do? I don't know.
How do I get my 14th home?
They don't care. Yeah.
Right.
I remember, so I worked in a restaurant where it was just the 1%. I told you, Bush came for like a event there, and like it was just only the wealthiest billionaires, all the CEOs and top people of what's the smoking company? William Morris? Maybe it's William. I think William Morris. Anyway, the smoking company, the company that's killing, that just murders people. They're sitting at this meeting of like 5 people, top William Morris. You Google them and it's like they're all over the place. Easy to find. Just talking about how they can kill more people so they can make more money. They literally were basically saying they're like, we need to get more people smoking. We need to, that was just that one example. But there was a meeting once about Amazon. Remember, Amazon was going to maybe come to New York, and people were pissed about it. They're like, we don't want this here. And they were like, they made a mistake. New York made a mistake to not have them there. These people, they don't know what they're fucking talking about. It's like the dumb money thing, right? It's like people, they think everybody's so stupid. Right. Anybody that's not a billionaire is stupid. And yet they're just crushing people. And I have to say, like, when you were saying the thing about your friends and no one's worked as hard as you, and I know that that's true among your friends, I know that's true, and it gives me a moment of like, for whatever this is worth, at least on a personal level, I think it's worth something for me as inner growth or whatever. But coming from a place where we both came from a home of immense privilege, immense privilege. We are white women who are straight and couldn't be more privileged. We are pretty far up on that totem pole of privilege. And we made a choice in life to go into the arts. We chose that. Yes. We chose that. And as a result, we had to work a lot of like low income jobs and struggled really hard to kind of like pull it together. So we're lucky because we have a little bit of just a tiny little spy hole into a world that a lot of Americans live, that a lot of the people in our community never experience. Mm-hmm. And so when we're sitting here going like, I relate because I was working for $6 an hour, you know?
Right.
And we get mad about it because we've had that experience. What I feel lucky that we have, because it does open. I mean, I think people should be able to like look at someone else's experience and really, really empathize, but we don't. We're humans and we just can't. So it took us having to live it a little bit to understand it. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, how do we get everybody else on board? How do you get your friends who have not worked those $5 an hour jobs or whatever, you know? They weren't in their homes sewing muzzles for 80 cents a muzzle. That's different.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the most privileged thing I could say. So I'm going to say it because I'm a fucking privileged white bitch. But like, as a human, I'm so lucky that I have just enough experience to understand more about what's going on. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't be that.
I know. You
should be able to empathize with people without having to actually have lived in their shoes. You should be able to look at a family that's saying, we can't afford to pay our rent and we're going to get kicked out during the pandemic and my children haven't eaten in a day. We should be able to look at that and go, I've never experienced that, but you know what? You deserve better. Mm-hmm. And what we have instead is people short selling stocks. Mm-hmm. And we have people that are selling mortgages or getting more people to buy mortgages that they can't afford because they don't care what happens to them in the long run. Mm-hmm. And that is rugged individualism. And what it all comes back to is working as a community. We need to take care of each other as a community more.
Are you hopeful for this new administration that's going to be taking care of our community more?
No. I think that they might. There are certain individuals, perhaps, that are in the administration that I'm certainly more hopeful than I was with Trump.
We got Bernie. Bernie in there.
Bernie's in there. Mm-hmm. I think the thing about Bernie, I'm realizing more and more, is I was reading this article about there's two kind of politicians. There's like the workhorses that get legislation pushed through, and then there's the kind of like superstar people. Yeah. And we need both. Both are valuable. Bernie is a superstar. He's not a workhorse. He doesn't push legislation through, but he's important because he's opened people's eyes in a way. Yeah. He said stuff that we were like, oh, we see. So I'm not devaluing what he's done, but he's not necessarily somebody that's been very good at getting anything done. Mm. And when you say like, well, what are you going to do about it? A lot of his response is like, well, it has to be a grassroots effort of all the community. And it's like, but you're the one in office.
Right.
So that's the stuff that makes me a little bit like, yeah. I think Biden, here's what I'm hopeful about Biden. I hope he knows that he's going to die soon. So he has no political future. Mm-hmm. So here's his chance to be like the biggest hero of them all. He could be a hero and really just say like, fuck it. Like, let's push this shit through. That's what I'm a little bit hopeful for. So maybe it will be better in that sense. But
yeah.
I think what's more likely, though, is that there's going to be more and more
regulation,
like protests and like struggle-y type things where there's going to be a lot of people that get hurt and angry, and it's going to be a little bit of a rough road, I think, with the ultimate, ending of people kind of being like, demanding more equality and that kind of thing. Mm. And I think that we will get there, but maybe in 2,000 years, like they said on the
God
horoscope. I don't know.
In 2,000 years, it'll be peace and harmony. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Really great insight, Katie.
Yeah. Sorry if I was just me like babbling on too much. I don't know everything. Obviously.
I know, but I think the way that you're just so empathetic to just how it works. It's hard to make sense of, and I think that you just did a good job at it. So,
well, thanks.
Bravo.
And I hope that what everybody takes from this isn't that like the stock market is bad. It's just that it is being run horrendously, and it isn't more important than our citizens. Mm.
Well, on that, I encourage people to send us emails, difficultwomenpodcast@gmail.com. Any questions or concerns, let us. What are you investing in? Can we talk trade secrets? Is that illegal? I think it is.
I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know what's illegal and not illegal. It's especially with the rules as they are. You're like, that could be legal and that could be illegal, and I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just everybody invest in. I shouldn't. I'm afraid to say anything because I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm afraid I'll start a Reddit thing. Oh God! Everybody, just take your money. Take it out of the banks. Hide it under your bed. That's my.
Did your dad tell you that to do that for a little bit?
He said no. He just said in 9/11, he was like, "Take all your money out."
Oh yeah.
The banks are gonna crash.
Oh God.
They wouldn't let me take. I mean, I didn't have that much money in there, but it was a lot. I was like, "Here's $10. I got it.
I got it." Oh gosh. All right. Well, this is good. Good.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Here's what's good about it. It's all coming to the surface. We're talking about it. I didn't care about the in stock market, and now I know. Now you know. Now we all know. So the more this comes to the surface, the more we can deal with it.
All right. Well, thanks guys for listening.
Yeah. And if you'd be interested in us talking about real, like how to manage your finances, maybe you don't want to hear us telling you, but maybe we can get somebody on that knows, and then we can have a real conversation. If that seems like an interesting episode, let us know.
Yeah,
we'll get somebody else to talk and tell us, because I don't think we should tell you how to manage your finances.
I'll just be here making French toast.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.